think my female friends are very aware and very I think they're very thoughtful into your feelings and how you feel and so forth, and how they communicate with me. For example, I think a lot of them now call me a lot less and speak to me a lot less out of respect to you. I see them a lot less, again, out of respect to you. So I feel like, we've made adjustments because I think before there was a bit too much, Eman, we need help with this, and I'll go and da-da-da-da. And I think, you felt like I was being a surrogate man for...
Oh, he's a surrogate man for a lot of people. Don't ask him like he's thinking he is. But anyway, that's a conversation for another day.
So yeah. Yo people, welcome back to the Eman Effect podcast with myself, Emmanuel and my lovely wife,
Mimi Suko.
How are you all? It's been a minute, but we're here, we're there. How are you, Mimi? You alright?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a minute. How are you feeling? Like, we ain't been on the podcast for a while.
Life happens.
Life happens, like, and I think, you know what? In life, you have to realise that as much as you want to do so much, like, you have to prioritise.
Mm-hmm.
Like, guys, I would love to give you this podcast every week. In fact, I would love to do it every other day. Do you know what I mean? But there are so many things that we're doing and things that have to take priority at any given season. If you don't know, where have you been? But, I recently had a book out and I've been travelling up and down the country with the book and doing all that stuff, as well as, some amazing deals that you will all see that we're doing. We're taking it to another level. And I'm just so excited for all the stuff that we're doing. And I just want to encourage you, Like, I started this, like, this journey trying to help my mum and my family. Then it was about, got to a certain level, like I got to Barclays, made money, could help my family, and then it was like, okay, who's the next people I can help? Then it was like, help my community. And it was like, okay, now I'm going to help my community and get financial education in the community. And now we're getting to the point where we're helping the nation. Like, and I always want to encourage you that, like, in what you do, if what you're doing is just for yourself, you'll be limited in your return, limited in how well it can go when you only do it for yourself. But when you are doing it and your why is beyond you, is beyond yourself, and you're doing stuff for others, the reach and how far it can go and how big it can get is massive. And that's something that I've kind of realised on this journey. So I just wanted to kind of share that with you, some words of encouragement. It's not Sunday, but it feels like we're at church.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what are you saying? Lip gloss and that.
I'm good. Just
Your lips are really lipping right now.
Very much lipping. Thank you, Fenty Beauty. No, this is not paid ad, but yeah. Just things have been busy, so we're preparing for our son to sit his SAT at the moment, so we've just been gearing up for that. So just home life has been really busy, so we just had to take a back seat on certain things just to make sure that the kids are set and they know what they need to do.
But we've missed you. Missed you all. So please, I hope you enjoy the podcast. We're back now. We're gonna have regular episodes now. So let us know in the comments what you want us to talk about. Let us know the things that you're struggling with, the things you're overcoming, the things you need help with, the topics that we can discuss to add as much value to you as possible. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy the podcast. Mimi, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about friendships.
We're talking about friendships and the different types of friendships. Mm-hmm. And mainly because we have a little discussion about friends of a different gender. Do you know what I mean? But we'll get there. We'll let that. That's the juicy part, right? Mm-hmm. We'll get to the juicy part. So let's talk about friendships, because obviously we grew up differently, and obviously you grew up more on the move, living in different countries and so forth. So your friendship group is, different to mine. So talk about it. What's it like? Obviously growing up in Nigeria for a part of your life, then the UK, then Ireland, then back to the UK. What's it like when it comes to that? How has that affected your friendship groups, or what friendship means to you?
I think when you move around, it's very hard to maintain friendships. Not because you don't want to, just because logistically it doesn't really work, does it? So for me, I think moving around has affected my friendship group. And yeah, I could probably still call them my friends, but they're probably now more acquaintances, if I'm being honest. Like, I think the friendships I've probably maintained the longer was when we finally moved back and settled finally back in the UK. and those are even then it was difficult to make friends. I'm not gonna lie, but the friends that I have now, I say they're who I would call, like if there was a problem I would, you know, call them up and you know, ask for advice and seek counsel from them. I think it hasn't been great making friends, because when you go through a point where you're moving a lot, you kind of learn to not put your all into people, because you don't know if you're going to be stable enough. Wow. So you tend to not trust easily. You tend...
Is that when you say not trust, is that because of them, or is that because you feel like you're going to be gone soon? So
yeah, it's a mixture of both. It's because of you, because you're protecting yourself, right? Because you don't want to invest in something that could be gone. And then also you learn to kind of see who is genuinely wants to know who you are, or who's just there for a season or point in time in your life. Do you know what I mean? And so for me, even making friends now is not something that comes naturally to me. I still have to weigh up and trust. And sometimes I've been bitten, because you think people are a certain way and you trust them and they bite you in the ass. But I'm learning to read cues from people and to take account of how they behave towards me, and that gives me sort of like a green light to reciprocate. It sounds, yeah, I think that's how it is for me. But I'm lucky with the friends I've got, and I'm not close to making friends. I'm just very careful of who I invite into my world, I think. So yeah.
So that's very different from me. As my wife always told me, Emmanuel, you make friends everywhere. Everybody's your best friend. You make friends at the bus stop, like non-stop friendship. Obviously, for me, I grew up in London. I grew up in one space. I've got friends from primary school, friends from secondary school, friends from college. Do you know what I mean? Friends from uni, and then friends from work and different workplaces, and now obviously friends from social media. Yay!
Boo.
Oh.
Anyway, let's go.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So anyway, yeah. So I've built up loads of different, and obviously friends from church, which is like they're the ones that I guess have been the most consistent throughout my life. Is my friends from church, because we've grown up from Sunday school all the way till now. So yeah. So for me, I love making friends. I love meeting new people. I love learning about people. I'm a people person. Like, I love people. Like, I love to get to know people. I love to hear people's stories. I love to hear what they've done. I love to give them words of encouragement. I love to, help people as much as possible. So for me, I love meeting new people. And so I've got friends that have grown over time. So I've got friends that I'm really close with, that I've known for years and years and years. But then I've got friends that I'm close to that I've only known maybe a short period of time. I'm not really a person that says, oh, unless I've known you 20 years, we can't be close. Do you know what I mean? And so forth. But also understanding now that friendships are different. So for a lot of people that want to be your friends now, it's a lot more mutual benefit. Do you see what I'm saying? So you go from, especially once you build a platform and there's some considered success in what you're doing in life, it becomes different to kind of work out who's trying to be your friend and who's trying to leverage you. And I don't think it's a bad thing. What do you think about people leveraging people? Do you think it's bad?
I don't necessarily feel it's bad, as long as you understand what your friendship is, or relationship, or whatever you want to define it as. I think if you know that you're just there's different, I guess, I don't know, there's different ways of leveraging people. You can have a business contract. You know that it's a mutual beneficial contract. You sign on a dotted line. You do this, I do this. We make money. Everybody's happy. Yeah. There's obviously there's friendships where, I can use your connections, you can use my connections. There's no really a contract. It's just introduce me to this people, introduce me to that people. But I feel like with everything that comes along, there has to be, I think for me, one thing I know is for everything there's set parameters, right? There's boundaries, there's rules that, not rules per se, but there's just things that shouldn't cross a certain line. Just because, even if it's mutual beneficial, do you know what I mean? You know what you're in there for, and lines shouldn't be crossed. I'm very much about, I think I'm very much a stickler for rules, because it's helped me and got me through some really tough situations. So I've had to put certain things in front of me to say that if you're going to survive this, you need to behave in a certain way, and it's gotten me through some really, really tough situations. So maybe I apply that through everything in my life. And even though I meet people, I don't share stuff with them straight away. It has to be a while before I feel comfortable enough to open up about what's going on in my life. And I feel like certain boundaries have to be in place with certain relationships, because people, as much as they have your best interest at heart, their always best interest is themselves. So if you don't put boundaries to protect yourself, you might open yourself to people potentially hurting you in the future when you're no longer needed. So, yeah.
And I think that's where me and Mimi are different. Like, I'm very open. I'm an open guy. Like, you know, I share my story, I share things I've been through in life, I share, you know, my failures, I share the things that haven't gone right for me as much as I share things that have gone well. Do you know what I mean? I'm an open person. And not just Mimi, my mum hates it. Like, my mum is an African mum. So when I tell my stories, especially stories that have to do with us being in poverty, or, you know, things not going right, or, you know, my mum, stuff about my mum and stuff, she will go, "Hey man, you are exposing us to the nation. You are telling our business outside." Like, and I respect it. And sometimes you have to, like, I have to have this conversation where, like, I need to be able to share my story, but obviously I still have to respect that there are other people involved in the story, and everyone has their own things that they're comfortable being out and not. So, you know, I have to be sensitive to the fact that there are people around us. Same thing with Miriam. Like, you know, sometimes I'll share stuff and she'll be like, "You know what, don't talk about this, don't talk about that." Like, you know, and I respect it, because as much as I'm telling my truth and I'm living my truth, the same thing is that she's got her truth and she's got things that she doesn't want it to be out in the public domain. And I have to respect that, do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think we're very different in that sense. And I feel like, you know, a lot of things can be learned when open. Like, I feel like me as a person being open, when I open up to people, people open up to me, and that's how I get to learn from other people's mistakes, other people's wins, other people's mentality. Like, I feel like being open a lot, I'm open so people feel comfortable to share, especially being a financial advisor. You know, we are taught as advisors to be open and to be able to ask open questions and open people up so that they feel comfortable to share their you know, things about finance and money that people might feel like is personal and they wouldn't want to say. So we naturally have to have that kind of warm, welcoming, opening, embracing spirit and energy to people to make them feel like, okay, I can tell this guy my truth. I can tell him what's really going on. Some people have told me stuff when it comes to their money, their finances, and their life that they haven't even told their own partner. Do you know what I mean? And so that comes with your personality and who you are, because people have to trust in you. And these are people that may be meeting you for the first time. You know, they've booked a meeting, they're meeting you for the first time, and now you're asking them to lay bare their deep and darkest secrets. So I guess that's where my open energy comes from, my career and what I do, as well as just me as a person.
Yeah, we're 100% definitely different in that sense. I guess maybe what he does as a career leans towards him being open, and obviously within the confines of business and stuff, I feel like that's fine, because you need your clients to be truthful with you if you're going to really try and help them, because if you're hiding stuff, they're not going to know the whole picture and have the best way to advise you. And yes, Emmanuel is a loving person, and he's someone who embraces people quite openly, and that's one of the things I love about him, because he just has a lot of love to give and to share and to help people. And you know, from when I met him, I knew that his passion was to help help as many people as he can.
But you think I do too much? Let's get there.
Yeah, he does it too much. He crosses boundaries all the time. And it's something that to be fair, it's not like this is the first time. This is stuff that's happened throughout our marriage, even before we got married. Him just going above and beyond to the point sometimes where it was to his detriment. And we've spoken about it, and I think, to be fair, we'll probably still keep speaking about it till we're in our 60s, because the brother don't learn. But yeah.
No, I think, and I agree. I agree. There are times where, for example, I'm the type of person that will like, especially like when we first got married and I was younger. I had a lot of younger age group people that were around me and so forth that I'd taught through. After you finish Sunday school, when you start going college and stuff like that. So I had taught them and trying to help them navigate the world with Christianity and being in the world and so forth, and try and give them advice, and we kind of grew really close. And so I would go out, for example, and I might bump into a few of them, and they might not drive, and I would end up driving half the way around London to drop them all home in the middle of the night, and then end up getting home at like 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning, and I've got to wake up early to go and do something and stuff like that. I'm very extra, whether it be help them with money, help them if they've got issues, take them out, like very much involved. I'm very much involved, and then I'm the type of person, I enjoy helping people. Like I enjoy trying to help people. Now, obviously, I've had to learn that you can't help everybody one to one. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you have to learn to help people from a distance. That's what you do through the content, through the podcast, through all the different working with other brands and working with other people to try and get the knowledge out there, get the message out there, help and support people on a wider scale. Do you know what I mean? But I'm also someone that if I see a project, I call it, if I see someone who I feel like I can help them get to where they want to be, it's just a matter of guidance and support. I'll take them under my wing and do that and support them and help them go. And really invest in somebody. Do you know what I mean? And I guess, like Miriam knows, that comes from people investing in me. When I was younger, I had people who, remember, I lived in East London. My church was in Southeast London, and I had youth leaders and people that would come drive to East to pick me up, and they live in Southeast. They live in Southeast. They'll drive from Southeast to East and then back to Southeast to take me to church or take me to events and then drop me back, and or it would be we would go out and go to an event and it would finish late, and we're in South and they would drive me to East and then drive back. Like they would drive past their house to drop me home. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, for me, I feel like this is my way of, people had taken time to invest in me. This is my way of investing in other people and doing and just passing that cycle down. And guess what? I've done that, and a lot of these young people that I've done that to, they now do that to another generation. Why? Because somebody done it to them. And for me, that's when I was helping them. That's what I was saying. I don't want nothing from you. I don't want, you don't have to pay me. You don't have to. All I want you to do is make sure that when you're up, someone comes to you for some help and support, you give them the grace and give them the time the same way I'm doing for you. And that's how we move as a community. That's how we build, and that's how we progress and so forth. And also, I guess, like I always tell me, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do a lot of, I don't go out, I don't go to parties, I don't do. So a lot of the time, this is my release. Like, this is how I, like an artist likes to paint. I like to build people. That's what I like to do. I like to invest in people and build them up and help them be the better version of themselves. And that's again a way of me being able to express myself and express all this knowledge and information and all this stuff that lives in my head and so forth. And it's nice to see someone go from from one thing to another and see how you can turn those rough edges smooth and support people, and I enjoy it. So yeah, I guess sometimes it can be a bone of contention, sometimes it can be an issue, and rightly so. I'm not saying what Miriam is saying is wrong. Like, rightly so. Within marriage and so forth, you have to respect your partner, and you have to make sure that I'm not out here trying to save the world, and my house is collapsing, or I haven't got time for people around me and so forth. But at the same time, I feel like in life, are you really living if you're not expressing yourself? And that's just one of the ways I like to express myself, and it's not harming anybody. It's doing good. Do you know what I mean? But again, you have to be careful on how you do good and who you help and how often you do it to make sure it's not a detriment to others.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with what Emmanuel says, and there are people that have come into his life, and he's taken like more of an vested interest in them to help them. I think there's no problem with that. I just feel like, again, there's boundaries. There has to be boundaries, especially when you're married. It's not necessarily about sorry, our kids leaving their tablets on loud. It's not necessarily about not helping them the best way. I just feel like if you're single, you can do what you want. You're helping someone. It's not a problem. There's no one checking up. There's no one, you know, not necessarily checking up. I guess checking up on you. There's no one wondering where you are. There's no one, or even if you have a partner, because you're not living together and stuff, it's not really like there's someone expecting you to be here at a certain time and stuff like that. I just feel like when you're helping people, especially people of the opposite sex, there just has to be boundaries. It just has to be like, okay, if you're going to help that person, just tell your partner. If you're going to meet that person, tell your partner. You can help them, you know, have your conversations, do whatever you want, do Zooms maybe, like it doesn't always have to be fake. Maybe for me, I just see things differently because in as much as, yes, I agree that face-to-face meetings have to happen, maybe phone calls, Zooms, emails and stuff, it can't infringe on, like, to the point where, you know, if your partner has an issue with it, that you don't take on board their concerns, because then it feeds that person's, you know, potentially feeds that person's insecurities of, oh my gosh, like, why are you spending so much? I understand that they need help and stuff like that. But I guess when you look at it, some therapists, they have more clients that are needier than some clients, so they have to invest a lot more time in the therapist and stuff. I just feel like, again, with therapists, they have boundaries that they've set so that there's a clear line between this is just help and it's nothing more than help. We can't start coming into each other's personal spaces. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what you're saying. I don't get it. I feel like she said a lot there, but I get what you're saying. I just feel like I just feel like at the same time, like, as long as it's not affecting me as a father, me as a husband, me as I'm not at home, I'm not out. Do you know what I mean? I feel like, but I think sometimes it's all in the eyes of the individual. Like, for example, like Talitha, for example. Like, when I met Talitha, one of my mentees, like, where she was in her mind, in her confidence, like, she was so far away. And now, you know, she's like, after what, a year and a half, 2 years, she's now at a point where she's earning double what she was earning before. Mm-hmm. She's confident. She's able to, you know, talk in meetings. She's confident to, you know, express herself. She has dreams and goals that she's working towards. She's changed her spending habits. She's focused. And even when she falls off, she's able to pick herself back up because she's learned the mechanisms in order to say, okay, I've fallen off today, but that doesn't mean I have to continue falling off for the rest of the week or the rest of the month. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so forth. And if you spoke to her now and spoke to her before, you'd see the difference. But it took time. It took time. It took calls. It took messages. It took meetings. It took. Do you know what I mean? But for me, I feel like when I see that, I'm like, that's why we do what we do, and I'm encouraged. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like, yes, you know, especially once you're married, especially once you have, you know, a family and so forth, and when you have a partner, you have to respect them and so forth. So I totally agree with that. But I feel like at the same time, you know, everyone's an adult. Do you know what I mean? And as long as everyone's an adult and know what they're doing and know how to behave themselves and not on these streets causing embarrassment or causing shame or doing stuff that's, you know, offensive, I feel like, you know, we should all respect that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think this is one topic within our marriage that I think we just see differently, just because of how we grew up and how we approach friendships, and that's something that, you know, we've both clearly identified. So yeah, I think it's just something that we will probably speak about, because in a marriage, communication is very important, and you need to speak and you need to express yourself regardless of whether you like what the person's going to say, because sometimes if you don't say anything, the resentment builds, and then it will just cause issues further down the line, or something that wasn't a big issue in the first place. So I think friendships, communications, it's just something that as marriage continues and you get older and older, that it's just something that you just talk about. There's other topics to talk about. There's kids, there's money, there's finances, there's future plans, future goals, and things like that. So as long as there's open communication between both of you, and you come to a general consensus of what is agreeable between both of you, then it's not a problem.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So I guess to end out, like, what's your thoughts on like people having friends of the opposite sex, like friends? So obviously I'm talking about more helping people in mentorship and trying to guide people, and obviously like you said there has to be boundaries and so forth. What's your thoughts in regards to like people that have like if I had a girl best friend or you had a guy best friend or these types of things, or even just friends of the opposite sex, and you know, what's your thoughts about it?
Again, I feel like everyone can have friends of the opposite sex. There's just, again, there has to be boundaries, because I feel like you might come with a certain mindset, but you don't know what that person's mindset is. They might be here, they want to be friends, but they might just start getting feelings for you, and then what happens then? If you don't put boundaries in place in the first instance, and those boundaries get crossed, then you're like, oh, I'm potentially going to lose a friend, or I'm going to pretend that, do you know what I mean? Again, I think everything you do, there has to be boundaries.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there has to be boundaries and so forth. But again, me as a person, I'm just not a guy that just likes to only hang with guys. I'm just not like that. So I enjoy company of females. I've just always done that in my life. I'm just saying. At the end of the day, me, I can only talk my truth. I don't know about you. I don't know about everyone else.
And I'm happy for him.
I can only talk my truth. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, I think, like you said, it has to be respectful. It has to make sure that it makes sense, and you know, I think my female friends are very aware and very. I think they're very thoughtful into your feelings and how you feel and so forth, and how they communicate with me. For example, you know, I think a lot of them now call me a lot less and speak to me a lot less out of respect to you. I see them a lot less, again, out of respect to you. So I feel like, you know, we've made adjustments, because I think before there was a bit too much, Eman, I need help with this, and I'll go and da-da-da-da, and I think, you know, you felt like I was being a surrogate man for...
Oh, he's a surrogate man for a lot of people. Don't ask him like he's he is. But anyway, that's a conversation for another day.
So yeah, we do. These are the things that, you know...
This is just marriage 101.
This is just how we are, yeah. But again, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Let us know your thoughts down below. I know loads of people are going to agree with Miriam, and loads of people are going to, I'm the bad guy or whatever, we'll see. But yeah, let us know in the comments below what your thoughts are. If you are, you know, in a relationship, or if you're married, like, how do you deal with friendships, like both male and female, and like obviously platonic relation, because sometimes even like some guys hang with their mandem too much, and that can be a problem. So it's not just like in our cases that's not necessarily the problem, but in some cases it can be you hang with your mandem too much, and you want to always go football with your mandem,
or you hang with your girls too much,
and your girls, and your partner feels left out and so forth. So let us know, how do you guys kind of explore this? How do you make sure it works for you? How do you make sure that, you know, there are boundaries set? What are the boundaries? What do you think crosses the line? Do you know, what do you think is okay? How, you know what I mean? Would you like sleep over, like, as a married man at your girlfriend's house? That's a question. If, I know we're wrapping up, but would you? No. Would you? So if you had a guy friend.
Mm-hmm. Why? Where's my husband?
Oh my goodness.
Where's your wife?
I don't know. Okay, let's say you're working. Mm-hmm. You're working, work colleague. Mm-hmm. You're at a convention, or you're doing stuff, or whatever. Mm-hmm. You're working late. Would you fall asleep, and you fell asleep? Like, would you feel like you've done something wrong?
If I was at a convention, I would have a hotel room. I'd be going to my hotel room.
Yeah, but let's say you wanted to work together, so one went to one's room or whatever, and then...
But the thing is, that's where I'm different, right? If you're a male colleague, I wouldn't go to another guy's room by myself, regardless of whether we were work colleagues or not. I just wouldn't. That's just not who I am. I wouldn't be comfortable in that situation, so I wouldn't do it. And I don't know how many women would be like, oh, come and sit in my room, if there weren't other people in there. So I just wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't be comfortable doing it. If we're gonna meet, let's have a meeting room. Let's go down to the bar. Let's sit down and talk, basically. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And that would be the case in most cases. I'm just trying to give an example. I don't know where the example is of where, you know, you go out with a friend or whatever. Like, let's say you go out, come back. So if, for example, like, let's say it's late, there's no Ubers, there's no Ubers, there's no taxis at that time or whatever, and, you know, your friend lives around the corner. What would you do?
I to be fair, I don't know. I think I would call my husband and be like, hey, can you come and pick me up? Like, that's what I would do, because I have my husband to say, hey, I'm stuck, I can't get home, can you please come and get me?
Our husband's wonderful. Big up my husbands. No, I hear what you're saying. I'm just throwing stuff out there. I'm not saying like one's right or wrong. But yeah, these are the types of things people like, you know, one of the big things that, you know, you find, you're in a relationship, like, you've got to think about the other person. Like, it's no longer about just yourself and what makes you happy or the things that you think you're doing. And even if you know that, for example, you've got a female friend and you know that nothing's going to happen or whatever, there are still boundaries and still things that you have to consider to make sure that, you know, your partner is comfortable as well. Do you know what I mean? And so forth. So I think these are the things that, you know, you have to go through, you have to think about, and you have to keep having conversations on. So like I said, in the comments below, let us know what your thoughts are, what you're thinking, and yeah, we look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Yeah, great.
Yep, great.
Good chat.
See you later.
Thanks.